Welcome to another edition of Politics Done Right. This is Egberto Willies, your host. You know, we are here at Netroots, and I'm walking in the aisle. I'm looking and just looking and minding my own business, and something just popped up in front of me. Somebody named Elie Mystal. You know, you guys hear me talk about this guy all of the time. He is always on point. Elie Mystal, thank you so kindly for appearing on Politics Done Right.
No problem. The fro kind of
Awoken me.
makes me noticeable.
Yeah,
In a crowd.
it was like, wow, you know. But anyway, first of all, I know last year you wrote a book.
Yes.
What is that book? I want to make sure that there's a good reason otherwise for having you here.
Right.
Tell them what you wrote.
Right. So my current bestseller is called Bad Law, 10 Popular Laws Ruining America. That's the follow-up to my previous bestseller, which is called Allow Me to Retort, A Black Guy's Guide to the Constitution. And I like putting the bestseller in there because, that's the thing they can't take away from you, right?
Yes.
I mean, 50 years from now, I can still say, well, your dad was a bestseller, that son of a boy. So I like reminding people that the book actually sold. It's hard to sell books these days, especially from the left.
You see, that is one of the reasons I like this dude. I mean, because he points out what he needs to point out. Anyway, look, I have a big issue that I want to ask you about, and it has to do with the elections. I think there are two sides to this election. I was speaking to the Secretary of State of Connecticut today, and she said Democrats better watch out. And the reason they better watch out is that in her state, she handles the voting. She said there are two reactions that people can have to what's occurring right now. They can all just get out of the system altogether and not vote, which can hurt Democrats in this landslide one is hoping for, or Donald Trump can do a whole lot of messing around with the election. First of all, do you give merit to both of those?
I'm not as worried, not in a state like Connecticut with people opting out. I think that Democrats are engaged. People are going to show up to vote. I think where the opting out comes in is in the states that are being illegally, unconstitutionally, yet completely gerrymandered, especially in the former Confederacy.
Right.
Because part of gerrymandering, it's also psychological warfare against our people. If you have a situation like you have now in Louisiana, like you have now in Tennessee, like you have now in Florida, where Black people feel like there is no hope, where that even if they show up in numbers, that the system is rigged against them, they have no chance to win, then that's when the couch can win. That's when, why should I even bother? The fix is already in against me. And so the psychological warfare of gerrymandering, I do think is a problem. I do think it's something that Democrats have to watch out for, that leadership has to fight, that you have to give people a reason to, more than a reason to vote at this point, you got to give people a reason to hope at this point when the Republicans are doing everything they can to take the hope, to take the heart out of the Black community in the South. So I absolutely give credence to that first thing. The second thing, in terms of Trump messing with stuff, I mean, what do we think ICE is?
Right.
People who think ICE is just there to deport illegal, out-of-status immigrants, they're there to do that too. But what he's done is set up a paramilitary force that can cause grave harm and grave confusion as we approach as we get through the election cycle. So absolutely, I think that we can't be caught flat-footed in terms of being prepared for Trump to use dirty tricks, violent tricks, to sway the votes in the election.
Now, what do we do to sway that?
Well, you have to have your own state and local police forces ready. Because look, here's what happens in a state like Connecticut. The Democrats are expected to win. You go to Bridgeport. You go to some of the areas in Connecticut where there's a larger minority population, and you have ICE surrounding those communities, intimidating them. Right? They don't have to say you're not allowed to vote. Right. It's just here are 5 guys with assault rifles and military fatigues with masks on that you can't identify that are kind of interested to see if you're going to bother to come out your house today. That's voter intimidation. And in that situation, state and local police have to be ready to be deployed to fight ICE, to stop ICE from intimidating voters. And that's a level of dog that the Democratic Party doesn't usually have, but they are going to need to have it this election cycle.
You said they're going to need to have it. Will they have it? Or do you see any possibility that they're going to have it?
I always trust. Hope is an important thing. I hope the Democrats understand the stakes here. Historically speaking, they don't. Historically speaking, they will roll over. Historically speaking, ICE will intimidate voters across the nation. And then on the Wednesday after the election, on the Thursday after the election, the Democrats will be like, oh my God, how could this possibly happen? Let's file a lawsuit. When what needed to happen was boots on the ground on Tuesday.
You're right.
And so I don't know if they are. I hope they're ready.
Well,
they have every piece of information that they need in order to be ready. At this point, it's just a question of whether or not they have the will and the execution to do it.
And what you think specifically? You think that they are or not?
I think it's going to be state by state. Okay. I think, a J.B. Pritzker, that dude seems like he was born ready.
Yes.
Right?
He definitely, he actually have a little bit of gangster in him.
Right. Kathy Hochul, sometimes, some days not, right? I don't know about Connecticut. I don't know about California. I don't know about Ohio. Like the states where it's going to matter the most, I don't know. I don't know yet.
Well, as it turns out, I was looking at some numbers and assuming that all the bad things that Trump could do doesn't happen. Do you realize we're at 47 Democratic senators right now? If we have a tidal wave, not just a blue wave, a tidal wave, do you realize that brings in another 13 senators?
Yeah, if we want all of them, right?
Yeah.
And if my mother had wheels, she'd be elected, right? Like lots of things could happen. I don't know that we're going to win 13 seats in the with the Senate map looking the way it does. And I guess here's the thing. I don't think you can say, assuming that Donald Trump doesn't.
Right.
We have to assume that Donald Trump does.
Yeah, that he does.
And that we have some kind of dedicated response to fight that, because you can't at this point assume that he's going to let things happen, especially if he's losing.
Exactly.
Like especially if he's losing, it's going to get even worse. So you have to have a response in place. And again, that response includes boots on the grounds. It includes local police forces protecting voters instead of locking hands with ICE. It definitely requires lawyers, lawsuits, ready to go to keep election places open, to keep polling places open. We know Republicans already use the dirty trick of trying to close polling places when people are still, they'll have some like issue in the middle of the day that prevents a bunch of people from voting. And then instead of extending the voting times, they just don't. Right. So a lot of people who tried to vote don't vote, or are not able to vote. Like you have to have lawsuits ready to go as that's happening on the day of the election. It takes a lot of party apparatus and planning and structure in order to combat some of these dirty tricks. But like, we have to do it. That's the only way forward.
What do you think about the commission that the Democrats formed, this electoral guidance or electoral, I think with the former Attorney General? Do you think it has any kind of a wings or
no?
Oh, okay.
I don't. The commissions are of no more use here. You need boots on the ground.
Right.
When I say boots on the ground, like I honestly mean, like you go to East LA.
Yeah.
We know there's going to be ICE in East LA on election day, discouraging people from voting.
Right.
Who are the state troopers that Gavin Newsom is going to deploy to protect those voters? It is that direct, but also that simple. We don't need a commission. We don't need to put this up to committee. We don't need to have a working group, white paper. We need boots on the ground to protect people. And I don't know that the Democratic Party is always willing to take that next step.
So what's next for Elie Mystal?
Well, here at this conference, I'm talking about the only thing that will really help us, which is court expansion. That's why I'm here at Netroots. And anytime Democrats collect, I try to be somewhere, kind of in a closet being like, don't forget court packing. So that's why I'm here for this one. Then we're coming up on the end of the Supreme Court term. Big cases we're still waiting for big cases on transgender rights and of course, birthright citizenship. So I'll be reporting on that. Then we'll hit July. I'll take my annual July after the Supreme Court's done, July vacation with my family. And then I'll be back after Labor Day for the run up to the election.
The big day. Elie Mystal, thank you so kindly for having been on Politics Done Right.
Thank you so much for having me.